Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, November the 10th. Always a pleasure to have you with us. And we have with us today Missouri's first poet laureate, Walter Bargen. Good to have you here, Walter.
Good to be here, Paul.
And today I think is a first with you. You're not going to do a poem on snakes. Talk about snakes.
Well, that's because we've already just talked about them.
Right. You got a poem here, but you want to plug a couple of events that you have coming up, right?
Oh, okay. Let me get to the list here. Yes, here it is. On December 5th at South Boone County Library at 6:30, I will be giving a reading.
Of your poems?
Of my poems, that's correct. And then at the Columbia Regional Library on January 17th, I will be giving a reading also.
Okay.
Of my poems. So the two events.
So two events that you can come and you can chat with Walter and listen to his poems. Now you have a poem for us today, but is this one of your poems?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. I'd like to say something about it. I was asked last summer to lead a creative writing workshop. I was asked by the Missouri State Teachers Association, MSTA, and the workshop takes place at Bunker Hill Ranch Resort, which is in Shannon County in the Ozarks. This area was owned by a man named E.T. Behrens. And in 1929, he received a diagnosis, a terminal diagnosis, that he only had 6 months to live. So he decided he wanted to go live down there for the rest of his life. Fortunately for him, the diagnosis was a little off. He lived another 18 years.
Well, that's good.
And he earned his fortune through making cigars, which happened to be named after his initials, ETB, cigars, and publishing labor newspapers. And he wrote to a friend at some point in his stay down there, and I will read this one sentence. I am now happily located in the wilds of Shannon, where I can commune with nature and study the habits of wildlife instead of the masses.
Isn't that nice?
Yes.
Isn't that nice?
And this area is over 2,000 acres. And it's within the protected area of the National Scenic Riverways of the Jack's Fork. And I believe the Jack's Fork was the very first river in the country to receive that designation.
I didn't realize that.
It is so quiet. It is so peaceful. There are maybe a dozen cabins there, and it's now being opened to the public if the public wants to stay in these cabins. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so. And the original idea was a retreat for teachers so they can revitalize, re-energize, and discover their own creativity, and then take it back to the classroom. And following in Mr. Barron's footsteps, I happened to write a poem about being down there. It's called Jack's Fork River Bunker Hill Retreat. I might have spent 6 or 16, maybe 26, certainly not 60 minutes, sitting on a chainsawed log bench in a small valley, maybe small enough to be called a hollow, where water gushes, but that's too extravagant, and flow suggests a flat anonymity. But it was a steady stream out of a labyrinth of limestone, and the deeper darkness of this oak and hickory-covered hillside, as it continuously combed long strands of moss over shelves of stone, with the clear, untethered music of spring water, backed by warm winds rustling leaves with a muted cymbal susurration. When I turned from observer to listener, then no listener at all, timeless, until time returned with a couple who walked up behind me, having made their own trilogy of creek crossings to ascend here, and I offered them a story of stalking cougars before I offered them the bench to sit and listen, to be immersed in their own wet visions as I return down the valley, uncrossing my crossings.
That is beautiful. You know, you were painting such a beautiful picture with words there. I could imagine myself right there, relaxing. And hearing the quiet. Hearing the quiet.
You know, quiet is such a healing experience.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, you know, it was really surprising to me.
You know, so many people in our world today do not know what quiet is. We are constantly being bombarded either by television or radio or traffic noise or noise in the distance. When you get out into the wilderness and you just sit and you hear nothing, it is the most refreshing feeling in the world.
It's refreshing and it's expansive. You know, at one time, suddenly you feel like you're the whole universe, and at the same time, you feel so small in that universe.
Right.
Yeah.
Or to hear the sounds of the wild, the crickets and the birds, or deer rustling through the leaves.
Yes.
You've got a new book out too. It's called Perishable Kingdom.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And where is this available?
At this point, it will be available at Yellow Dog Books, and that may be the only place for a while.
Okay.
And it will be available on my website if you just send me an email, and you can get my email off the website.
Okay.
And just say, hey, I'd like to, you know.
What's your website address?
My website is walter.bargen, that's BARGEN, @gmail.com.
Walter.bargen, B-A-R-G-E-N at
Gmail.
Wait, that's not your website. That's your email address.
Oh, that's my email address. You're right. Oh, my
What's
God.
your website?
Well, no, now you've got my email address. My website's walterbargen.com.
Okay, that's simple. Hey, Walter, you're getting in that same age group I am.
Don't rush me. Don't rush me.
It's called senior moment. I like that. So, what's special about the book Perishable Kingdom?
It's not exactly poetry, although I think when a poet writes prose, it sounds a lot like poetry. It's 3 short stories. The first one, which has a rather lengthy title, is called Report from the National Geologic Survey to the Central Committee.
Okay, that is a long title.
Which sounds very dry, but it's actually love letters between a soldier who has been exiled to Siberia in 1917 back to his lover who's in a city that's in turmoil and riot.
Okay. All right, that's the first one. So there's three.
The other 2 are The Site of 3 Cities and A Theory of Music.
All right, Walter Bargen, thank you so much for coming by. So it's walterbargen.com.
Yes.
For his website, or walter.bargen@gmail.com for his email address.
Yes.
We got it settled up. We're out of time for today. Drop me an email at pepperpmissouri.edu. Bye-bye.